Well, speaking of working, we're gonna have fun tonight because I actually love when actors aren't available. I know, pause. Excuse me. I love it
Yes.
when there's a moment when you're like, oh, so and so's not available today. I've learned that what it does is it frees you up. You're like, well, then we're only going to work these parts, right? And so we get to like really go deep dive at the beginning of this scene a bit, right? And now that we have our dramaturg, you should have, if you, I don't know if you watched our first session, but many of the questions were, well, if we had a dramaturg, I don't know. So why don't we, if you guys want, if it's, you want to start, why don't we begin at the beginning and then see what questions maybe Miranda can answer or ones that you guys have thought about as the last time we approached it. Cool.
Okay.
All
Sounds
right.
good.
Um, yeah, let's just go from the top, nice and slow. He's hearing the cause. He will come straight. I'll tell him of you.
Wait.
Pray you do. I'll know his pleasure.
I was standing up there
Sorry.
looking around. The wedding is
It's happening.
Welcome to Vienna. It's just rampant. Absolutely everybody's coming through here. Anyway, as we were, uh, I'll know his pleasure. Maybe he will relent. Alas, he hath but as offended in a dream. All sex, all ages smack of this vice, and he to die for it?
Now, what's the matter, Provost?
good. Let's hold there. Provost, questions or comments?
Mhm. You No, it's pretty straightforward. And yeah, just that we talked some last time about is this my first time trying to address this issue with Angelo? And we kind of landed on like, no, we're gonna ask one more time. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that tracks. And I really heard this time about I wondered why did Shakespeare have alas he hath but as offended in a dream, all sex, all ages smack of this vice, and he to die for it. Why do we need that?
I Well, something that I was kind of struck by listening through the last session on Sunday is that there's never any question of whether or not Claudia's guilty. Like everybody knows that this actually happened. His
Hmm.
fiance is walking around, proof of it. And we all know that it's something that everybody does in this town. Even the Duke's aware of it. I think the biggest question that everybody has is that final line of like, but is the punishment really that he has to die?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so appealing to Angelo that like, is this like, I know you want to make an example, you have to prove yourself in your new role. And you have to start somewhere, and you are being tested by the Duke here. So, but is that really, do we have to go to the extreme?
I have a
Yeah.
question that I was going to hold because I thought it was not related, but listening to Rachel say that point makes me wonder if my question's related, and that is there significance to the fact that these lines are coming from the provost? Because these sound like Lucio. It sounds
Mm,
like Lucio talking, but it's coming from the
Hmm.
provost, and that cannot be accidental.
I'm gonna defer to
'cause-
Miranda.
yeah.
Well, a couple of thoughts. Uh, Speaking to Paul's point, I think I agree with you 100%. Shakespeare, that people say there are no coincidences in August Wilson. There are no coincidences in Shakespeare either. So I think the fact that, but the provost is really a very, I've always felt a very decent individual, you know, just a very, very decent individual, and likable and human, and has a humanity that certainly Angelo does not have, and that arguably I think Lucio doesn't either. So perhaps, you know, one possible way in would be that the fact that both Lucio on the one hand and the provost on the other are saying the same point shows that it really is universal. You know, everybody can agree on this. I also learned when I was doing some research for Jessica's production, marriage laws were really complicated and erratically enforced, and so it just in Jacobean England, and I think that Shakespeare's audience could certainly have this would have appealed to his audience on a very visceral level. All sex, all ages, smack of this vice, and he to die for it. I think that would have really touched a chord in the hearts and minds of the viewers.
It may be the obvious question here, but for our listeners at home, what exactly is a provost, particularly in this context?
It's a great question. Go ahead, Paul. Sorry.
No, I just said good question.
Yeah, no, it's a great question, because I think, you know, he plays several roles. You know, he's a jailer, but he's more than a jailer. He's kind of a he's a mediator in a way. He certainly tries to mediate between Angelo and the prisoners. I also think perhaps there's his decency, paradoxically, his decency really has a chance to shine in these situations. And I think it's very significant that at the end of the play, the Duke says to him, "We will employ thee in a better place." You know, the Duke has really come to recognize his humanity, his decency, and that he doesn't belong in this jail. So I think there's a sense in which the character is sort of above his office morally and in other ways, but essentially he's sort of a combination jailer, warden, bailiff. But it's an unusual noun. I want to just double check in the Arden, but I don't think we see a provost elsewhere in Shakespeare. Probably Shakespeare.
You ever do this? What's that?
I was going to say follow up to that. Oh, sorry. Lagging. The question I have then next is for the justice to be carried out, in what manner would Claudio be killed for this crime? And how directly is the provost involved in that physical act of Claudio's death?
That's a great question. Well, we find out that he is to be beheaded, and the provost would not be doing the act. It's Aberson. You know, people discredit our mystery, which I always think is just such a hilarious line. You know, he doesn't want Pompey the Bawd to assist him, but he would not physically be doing it, but he would be beheaded. That's clearly the sentence.
That's helpful, just for an image.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have the strangest question, and maybe I should know it. This is a shared line. I'll tell him of you, pray you do. I'll know his pleasure. Maybe he will relent. I'll know his opinion. Pleasure is opinion, right? I'll know his affection, like his
preference, his desire,
his preference, right?
It's a curious word choice, though, given the themes of this play. I agree. That one always strikes on my ear. The Arden, by the way, this is the third Arden, Rachel, that I'm reading. It has a useful note on the provost, just how the original audience might have thought of this dramatically important figure, and his title is uncertain. Originally, a provost or provost marshal was a military policeman and judicial officer, but by the late 16th century, the title could designate a royally appointed individual who was responsible for controlling, arresting, and indeed hanging criminals. But yeah, nowhere else in Shakespeare. Interesting. So unusual, I think. So it's a great
Yeah.
question. Who exactly is this person, and what is his office?
Let's keep going and let's really examine this Provost Angelo relationship. Enter Angelo, please.
And the fact that this is also a shared line told me that he comes right in on the back of Provost's line, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's the matter, Provost?
Is it your will Claudio shall die tomorrow?
Did I not tell you, yea? Hadst thou not order? Why dost thou ask again?
Lest I might be too rash. Under your good correction, I have seen when, after execution, judgment hath repented or his doom.
Go to, let that be mine. Do you your office, or give up your place, and you shall well be spared.
I crave your honor's pardon. What shall be done, sir, with the groaning Juliet? She's very near her hour.
Dispose of her to some fitter place, and that with speed.
And your servant. Good hold. Good. I love the petulance. And I love the provost. If we think of provost, you guys, did I talk about impro last time? Keith Johnson's impro and status. I didn't do that. I use it for everything.
Yes.
And so it's what's interesting is the provost has a higher status than Angelo, but the provost can't play it. The provost has that dignity. It's like the provost is the parent in the room who at this moment has to be just just one under Angelo always, right? Paul, I might have misheard, but I think you said, did I not tell thee, yea?
Did not I tell thee, yea?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I did, because I was trying to look into the camera and be all dramatic.
Okay, sorry. Did not I tell thee, yea? And so provost, I love this nagging that goes on here. Well, sometimes when do you really want that apple pie? Because sometimes when people have apple pie, they regret it, right? It's okay to lean into that. It's okay for the provost to have a wee bit of fun. We're not going to Lucio, but just a little scold, right? A little. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I just thought,
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
Well, I guess kind of in status too, there's like the official status of somebody's role and having earned or been appointed that role. But then there's also the status of being in somebody's favor, which it's such an interesting thing with this play with the Duke not being present, but being present throughout it. And I get the sense that Provost has kind of always been in partnership with the Duke's reign. And so Angelo's position is a very new thing. And kind of like how Isabel points on the great men having their power and then walking around with their clown costume, wielding power around. I think there's a way in which Provost is like, all right, let him get used to the big boy bike. But let's make sure he doesn't ride the entire city straight into traffic. Type
If I had to do
here.
some,
is that right?
If I had to do some Stanislavski super objective, which I never use, but just popped into my head, the provost is a guide. Provost is guiding, is trying to guide, right? And so it's why the provost doesn't get offended when he says, "Why dost thou ask again?" Insert asshole. And your response is, well, it's very patient, but always trying to guide, which will keep you away from Lucio, who, right, is just trying to add light and ribaldry everywhere. Can we do that again? What's the matter, Provost? And so go ahead, Paul.
Angelo is new, right? How new? Like new? Like, is this his first big decision? The Claudio thing?
His second day of teaching.
Say that again?
I was just referencing your second day of teaching.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. He is new, and he is also gung-ho at the newness, meaning he didn't take long. There was no warm-up lap. He went from, all right, I'm in charge now, and I change everything.
Okay, then what does the provost mean when he says, under your good correction, I have seen when after something has been done, and he uses the word execution, which has a double meaning, judgment hath repented o'er his doom. So the judges have realized that they made a mistake. But under your good correction, I thought meant you, Angelo. I have seen where in the past you sentenced someone to something and turns out it was not correct. But if he's new, then he doesn't mean Angelo. What does he mean?
You're absolutely right. I think it helps if we just understand it as sort of a formula, like, saving your reverence, or pardon me for, seeming to criticize, or, under your correction. That is, correct me if I'm wrong, but, I've seen this happen.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong. That's exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great question, though, because to our ears, it sounds temporal. It sounds as though he has been doing this for a while, but in fact, he hasn't.
Yeah, and then it's able to allow the provost to be a little less personal and more like, I've seen, tell me if I'm wrong, if you've ever seen this, but sometimes judges make mistakes.
And regret it.
And regret it.
And it's telling more of a parable rather than like, hey, remember that time you felt bad about that decision you made? It's like, no, greater men than you have messed up before. Okay.
I have another question before we get back to it. Stefan, sorry. Can somebody help me with let that be mine?
It's like the sin upon my head. If I make that mistake, that's my problem, not yours. And exactly. You shouldn't worry about it. And if you can't back me up here, then I'll happily find someone else who can. So there's that threat. I'm going to fire you as well.
And you shall be well spared, meaning give up your place. We won't miss you.
Exactly. Yeah. If you can't do this, you're out of here. I'll find somebody else, and I won't miss you. There's plenty of other people applying for this job. Basically.
Oh, that's what that means. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not like a scansion nerd, but I do like it when there's beats missing. And help me out here. Did not I tell thee, yea, hadst thou not ordered? That's 10. Why dost thou ask? Why dost thou ask again, lest I might be too? Are these separate lines with beats missing?
I think so.
Good correction I have seen. That's fine. When after execution judgment hath, that's fine.
Wait, Stefan, it could be a 12. It could be an Alexandrine line. Why dost thou ask again, lest I might be too rash? It could be. I'm not saying it is.
Let that be mine. They're certainly too long. The Angelo makes them too long. You're absolutely right. Do you your office or give up your place? That's okay. Perfect. And you shall be well spared. That's short. Yeah, his scansion is very choppy.
And then I crave your honor's pardon. So here's what I would like to suggest, given how weird it is we can push and pull against it. We're allowed to, for example, working backwards, and you shall be well spared, gives the provost a beat. Because he's such a jerk. Then quit. We won't miss you. Okay, my bad. I'm so sorry. You're allowed to take that beat before. Yeah? And then Why dost thou ask again, lest I might be too rash? I want to submit that maybe I could, in the playing of it, you guys play with it. Those are almost overlap. Those are crunched. Why do you ask again?
Mm.
I don't want to be too rash. And then
Mm.
it gets normal.
Mhm.
Pardon? Under
Yeah.
your, does that kind of track?
Yeah.
Because
I
I'm
like
less
that.
of a ancient nerd. I haven't had quite this level of training in like this many syllables means this, but so I like the idea when we're like, hold on, that doesn't count out. Does that mean we have a space or that we should be jumping on it? So I love playing with that. That sounds great.
We might be able to pull it off on repented or his doom. Go to that. Let that be mine. Is a place where
Mhm.
there's like
Yeah.
a crunching, right? And then
Which also
there's a
is like,
mhm.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
It's an identical sequence, isn't it?
because
There's
if you
two
have
of them.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
This is where if I was really good, I'd have the
which
folio out.
ultimately
Mhm.
Folio's a mess.
it
I have a
tracks
facsimile
with
downstairs,
almost
but
any
sorry.
Rachel, go ahead.
no, I was just like this tracks with almost any conversation I've ever had with somebody where I've just been like, I know you've made up your mind, but like those sentences almost never finish. Like the voice of reason is never actually allowed to finish a sentence in those circumstances. So it tracks to me that there would be interruption.
Yeah. So can we read it once from No, what's the matter, Provost? And just get on your game a little bit in terms of Angelo not wanting to be questioned and the provost trying to get a word in without upsetting the apple cart.
Ready?
Yep.
Now, what's the matter, Provost?
Is it your will Claudio shall die tomorrow?
Did not I tell thee yea? Hast thou not order? Why dost thou ask again?
Lest I might be too rash. Under your good correction, I have seen when, after execution, judgment hath repented or his due.
Go to, let that be mine. Do you your office, or give up your place, and you shall well be spared.
I crave your honor's pardon. What shall be done, sir, with the groaning Juliet? She's very near her hour.
Dispose of her to some more fitter place, and that with speed.
Great. Hold. We have the little bit of the lag from Rachel because she's in parts unknown, but I actually think that's going to work. I actually could see you do it before I heard you do it. So I could see you really jump on Paul. I thought that was really lovely. I just want to offer one thing, which is I realize I crave your honor's pardon. Also, you could have a beat after so that you could then have the idea, well, okay, what do we do with the girl? When he's like, do your damn job or I'm going to get rid of you. Okay, my bad. You know, other
Right.
question, right? But the logic of this, does it track y'all? Great. It's going to play really well when we have really good Wi-Fi. Let's
Sorry.
move on. You're good. You're good. We're doing text work. We're fine. Uh, any questions before we move on? Enter servant.
I
Great.
had one thing. May I just say one thing
Please.
that I just noticed, and it was when you were bringing up this I'll know his pleasure, that word pleasure, and then the provost then goes on to say, "Is it your will Claudio shall die tomorrow?" And of course, both will and die had body double meanings in Shakespeare, and then even then when he says, "What shall be done, sir, with the groaning Juliet?" And there's almost this, he fills a role that we so often see women fulfilling. You know, we think of the nurse, we think of Amelia, you know, the sort of earthier.
Mm.
I don't know how far I want to go with this, but it's just striking upon my my ear. The provost is using that type of language. Is he needling Angelo a little bit? Does he know that Angelo, you know, he's so straight laced and buttoned up? Is he trying to? I don't know, but it certainly is remarkable how many double entendres he gets in. The provost gets in a relatively few number of lines. Just food for thought.
I would like to point out the awkwardness of what would be two grown men who are not the most, you know, I assume let's assume the provost isn't even married, like talking about this very pregnant woman who might give birth at any moment in the lobby. That you can at least bring in that's what it would have been, right? It's just, you know, she's, what do we do about the really pregnant lady over there? And neither knows. I don't know. Take her out of here, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I would bring anytime you can find the body, both BODY and BA whatever, I would bring it in. And somehow the lights went off in my, oh, and now they're back. Never a good sign. I put lights in the bookcase and sometimes they just don't work. Okay, great. Yes, no, I love anytime we can hit any of those. Enter a servant. Here is the sister of the man condemned, desires access to you.
Happy a sister.
Aye, my good lord, a very virtuous maid, and to be shortly of a sisterhood, if not already.
Well, let her be admitted. See you, the fornicatress, be removed. Let her have needful, but not lavish means. There shall be order for it.
Okay, good hold. We were playing with some stuff, Miranda, and I'm going to check some logic with you. Any reason why the provost goes on a little bit about sister? And there's two meanings there. Has he a sister? Yeah, it's a sister. Who's going to be a sister? Ha ha ha. Right. There are days I think he wrote these lines for Lucio and then had to move him over to the provost because the provost still has fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
A very virtuous maid. Is the provost, this is a question, it's not a question because I think I'm right. Is the provost kind of trying to point out that Angelo comes from a good family?
That Claudio comes
right?
from a good
Claudio, I apologize. Angelo's from a
not at
family.
all.
Yeah.
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 Absolutely. Yeah. I think absolutely. Yeah. I think you're right too. And not only a good family, but has a, you know, maybe he's thinking Isabella's virtue may serve as a counterpoise to Claudio's sin in Angelo's eyes. I think he just hopes she can have a good effect. I also have to, that word fornicatress, you know, always just drives me crazy. It's such a, I mean, it tells us so much about Angelo, but it's such a, I don't know, it's so contemptuous and rigid and cold and unlikable.
So does Angelo, I had an idea that maybe not be true because earlier Angelo, they said, well, what do we do with the grown Juliet? Dispose of her to some more fitted place, and that was speed. Done. But now he goes back to it.
Without being asked.
Without being asked. Does he soften? Okay, let the hussy at least have a bed in a cell. Do you get that at all, or is he still just making sure he was heard the first time?
Or
actually,
I'm just throwing this out there. I don't know that this is it. Because I told you that Claudio shall die tomorrow before, and you asked me again, before you come back here tomorrow and ask me again, I'm going to say it again. Make sure she is removed before she gives birth. Is that another option? That's not how I
think so.
It, but I wonder if that's an option.
I think so. What do you think?
Like he's
Stefan?
still, he knows he's got his list.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you, this one's going to be on the day. Literally how you're feeling. If you're feeling so put upon, right? If Rachel's annoying you to the point of like, because really it becomes, is it about Rachel, right? Is about the provost. Like, look, dude, and I don't want to ever have to say this again because you're so annoying. Or does it, or are you feeling once you hear this virtuous maid, the brother had a virtuous maid, okay, women can be virtuous and there's such a thing as women should be somewhat respected, fine. At least give her a bed. I don't care. They both work and they both track.
I agree.
Something I was struck by rewatching Sunday's rehearsal was the question that was brought up about Isabel's is Isabel's insistence on like, well, what about you? Bringing it back to Angelo, if that's the very first time this argument has been made by the provost, by Isabel, by Lucio, by anybody in the community who cares about Juliet or Claudio, who have come to the door of even the provost to Angelo, who just keep asking for pity or empathy. Please have a heart. Think about who these people are. He's a brother, he's a son, he's a husband. Like, spare him in that way. And Isabel being the first person to be like, okay, but what if you were Claudio? I think Provost keeps layering on the idea of, but he's a brother and a brother to a very nice sister. He's a fiance to a groaning Juliet. Like, the arguments are sound, but they're just beside the point where Angelo will maybe listen until Isabel introduced the idea of like, okay, but what if it was you?
I think to support that in the text, it's a shared line. She's very near her hour. Dispose of her to some more fitter place, and that was speed. It is, right? It's not. It's boom. Here, right? To Paul's point, he brings it up. Well, let her be admitted. Now he is full control, not a shared line. See that the hussy, and I just think there's a softening in there. Let her have needful, but not lavish, and there shall be order for it. As what is, I assume, Miranda, there should be order for it means there shall be money for it. There shall be the state will pay for it. At the very least, I'll write the order.
Oh, I thought in this case, order meant something like a warrant. Like I will get an official stamp or something. But you might be right. It might be.
No, but I think to the point, it's like, I'll make this official, right? Earlier, he goes, what should we do with her? He's like, just get her out of here. He's like, okay, fine. I will find a room for her in a halfway house. Kind of. I don't know. He's the state. He's being the state here. Whereas earlier, he's like, just make her go away. Okay. I'm going to give an order.
I think
let that
both.
go.
Well, I think both are. They aren't exclusive. I think they both work. Actually, what you and Paul are saying, both of those things work and work together. I agree.
Yeah, on the day, Paul. Depends how you're feeling. You know what? Let's keep going and see, because you got to track this whole transformation, and let's just see where you want him to soften, if ever. And maybe you're like, he can't do it that early. I leave that to you, man.
Well,
okay,
then,
here comes the provost. Sorry, go ahead.
May I ask that we go back a couple of lines before the fornicatress line so I can play it the other way and see how it feels?
Love it. How about from the servant's entrance?
Okay.
Yeah. How about actually go over the top of the page? What shall be done, sir, with the groaning Juliet? That's where the beat starts. We're talking about Juliet now. What shall be done?
What shall be done, sir, with the groaning Juliet? She's very near her hour.
Dispose of her to some fitter place, and that with speed.
Here's the sister of the man condemned, desires access to you.
Hath he a sister?
I, my good
Lord, a very virtuous maid, and to be shortly of a sisterhood, if not already.
Well, let her be admitted. See you the fornicatress be removed. Let her have needful but not lavish means. There shall be order for it.
Save your honor.
Say it as a one.
I want to say, first I want to fix this light. I actually think Paul there, I love the officious version. I don't want you to soften. I go against everything I've said. I don't want to do it too early. I don't want that to be an event. I want it to sound like I've given an order. He uses technical terms. He uses legalistic terms. Fornicatress, right? Needful but not lavish. Still should be order for it. He's taking control of the room. Also, earlier he gets disposed of her to some fitter place, and that was speed. He thinks he's done, and now he's got a visitor. And look, hath he a sister is a shared line. So he's getting like it's coming from all sides. So you have two shared lines. Desires access to you. Hath he a sister? If not, if not already, well, let her be admitted. It's just like whatever. And so I feel like these three lines are you taking back control of the room. Okay. Does that track? Because that's what I got from you.
Yeah. And I have to tell you, playing it that way draws out so much more of the subtext for stay a little while. Because I told him to get rid of her with speed. And now I'm telling him again, don't make me tell you again. Don't come back here and ask me questions. Get rid of her. She walks in, I go, oh, don't go yet.
That's hysterical. Sorry. We love it. It's comedy, right? We love it when he. Okay, I'm glad we hashed that out and came back to the more simple and honest reading. There shall be order for it. So here's Provost, save your honor. Let's pick up from there.
Save your honor.
Stay a little while. You're welcome. What's your will?
I'm a woeful suitor to your honor. Please, but your honor, hear me.
Well, what's your suit?
There is a vice that most I do abhor, and most desire should meet the blow of justice, for which I would not plead, but that I must, for which I must not plead, but that I am, at war betwixt will and will not.
Well, the matter?
I have a brother is condemned to die. I do beseech you, let it be his fault, and not my brother.
Heaven give thee moving graces.
Condemn the fault and not the actor of it? Why, every fault's condemned ere it be done. Mine were the very cipher of a function to find the faults whose fine stands in record and let go by the actor.
Oh, just but severe law. I had a brother then. Heaven keep your honor.
Not horse. So, to him again, entreat him. Kneel down before him, hang upon his gown. You are too cold. If you should need a pin, you could not with more tame a tongue desire it. To him, I say.
Must he needs die? All right, let's hold there. Okay. By the way, I dare you guys to try to read out loud Isabella's there is a vice that most I do abhor and most desire should meet the blow of justice. It is the hardest monosyllabic, weirdly stressed. I tried to like do it regular, and it's just like you can feel her. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Do we want to unpack stay a little while? I love how you're doing it, but I just want to make sure. Miranda, are we missing anything?
Not that I could see from here. I like very much the way that is going today. Yeah, because I agree, Paul, you're absolutely right. You know, he's sort of sending the provost off and then suddenly stay a little while. And I love the way he did that.
It's so challenging with.
Sorry, I just wish it were you are welcome instead of you're welcome. But he does have two contractions back to back. You're welcome, what's your will?
But actually, kind of the fun thing with that is the pressure that we've added to this scene now with the urgency of Provost is here with list of questions. We get the sense that Angelo's dealing with several other things. And what now? He also has a sister. I already answered this question. I've got so much else to do. And now he's reaching the point where he doesn't even have enough time for full words. He has to start using contractions, which is kind of fun.
I'm glad you brought that up because the next time we do it, what I was gonna play was, oh shit, he has a sister, and the law says I'm supposed to hear next of kin. I'm supposed to hear out family members. I can't like turn her away. Okay, fine. Let her come in. I'll listen. It's not gonna change my mind, but I'll listen.
Yeah.
And I don't know if
Yep.
that was the law. I'm just making that up because it makes my
I'm
playing
fixing
choice
this light.
justified.
I
What? We
think
like
that
the
works.
disco.
It's just bugging my eye.
We were digging the disco, man. What happened?
Yeah, we're all about ready to break into Saturday Night Fever here.
It
It
goes
just
with
means
the wedding.
I gotta find out where the short is. It's gonna be such a pain. Um,
Oh,
well, what's your suit? Also, you have three of them, right? You have three contractions.
Oh yeah.
What do you want?
well,
What's your will? What's your suit? What? I love it. What? And also, she takes forever to say it. I
Yeah.
am a woeful suitor to your honor. Please, will you hear me? Yes, what? There is a vice. I don't know what I'm going to tell you. You're like, I know whose brother you are. Okay, let's go.
Yep.
I'm a busy man.
And I think what I want to play is I am required by law to hear your petition. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. As soon as you're done, I'm going to say, no, he has to die. But you say this argument about forgiving the criminal, but punishing the crime. And that's just juicy. And I go, wait a minute, what? Let's unpack that, Miss Isabella. Let me show you how smart I am. I like that.
Nice.
If you like it.
I love it. I had this whole thing as a director, which is it doesn't matter what I like in a strange way, because what I've learned is wherever the whatever turns the actor on is juicy for them. Why go against it? Like far more brilliant than I am. So Big Paul, because you're owning it. Yeah, I love it. So okay, just but severe law. I had a brother then. Heaven keep your honor. Now Lucio enters the play. Should we play? Who do we want to make Lucio? Do we want to push Lucio and the provost away from each other? Do you want a hat? Like who is Lucio for you? Let's examine. Here's one thing I do know. Ready? Pretentious. Lucio means light.
Yes.
So he brings light everywhere he goes, and I think he enjoys this idea about himself.
Since Sunday, I listened to the podcast suggestion that Nathan sent out to all of us with the doctor, the professor talking about the foils that are presented in this play. And I was so struck by the professor's decision to talk about Claudio versus Angelo as being complete foils for one another, and then also for the Duke to be his own foil as well, which gave me the joyful comparison of like, okay, well, if I'm playing Lucio and Provost, like what way can they be foils for one another? And it kind of brought me to the question, though, of in our reading of this and with me reading these characters, are there any reasons why Provost and Lucio wouldn't be women? And what does that do? Other than the fact that Lucio's going to get punished for also having impregnated somebody.
It's in a sense two questions, right? One is how can one be the foil for the other? And then what happens now, realizing they're both women? Let me attack the first one first, which is I love that they're foils for each other. Do you ever get the sense that Lucio is like the provost inner monologue in this scene? So
Wait, say that again?
The Lucio is the provost's inner monologue.
Oh.
In terms of foils, like they're opposites. They're not even foils for each other. They're the two sides of one coin. And so I think you could really push into, do you have any friends who have just whose inner monologue comes out and you're like shocked? You're just like, whoa, that's what you were thinking? I think Lucio is an earthy body character. He's a ball, right? It's down here, it's in the body. Streetwise, lower status doesn't care, has no status in a strange way. Lucio just goes wherever he wants, right? No social graces, but can manipulate every social standing, right? Can ingratiate himself to the king. Um, and then the women question, I don't know. Afraid to answer?
That's fair. Because I resonate so much with the provost, and without speaking ill of previous employers, but having been the production manager or administrator to like CEO or artistic director, and being there with my clipboard of like, I know you already answered this, but I have issues with what your answer was. I don't quite have the power to change your decision, but I'm going to ask again just so you can hear yourself say kind of the shitty thing one more time. Like I really resonate with that. And then kind of the opposite side of that coin of like, I am here to help you follow the rules versus the I'm here to actually say that that's kind of a dumb thing to say. And like, you're so right that it is so in the body. I think of Provost with like white knuckled clipboard or like hands behind the back, very deferential, proper, versus Lucio, I think we said before, like comes in and probably throws his feet up or her feet up on somebody's desk. Is like, I'm just here to eat the popcorn and also have my opinions about this. But it's weird too, because from this point on, Provost and Lucio just have asides. So they're not necessarily getting their opportunity to let their voice spill into the conversation directly.
Yes to all of that. The provost is a rule follower, is a believer in institutions. I was the arts administrator for a large regional theater and with an artistic director that I had to sort of schedule and move around and right before I went to grad school. But I also believed in the institution, right? So you didn't want to hurt the institution. Lucio doesn't mind if all of Vienna burns down, right? As long as the body house is done. So that's the two. Uh, I would let Lucio be in your body. I would let Lucio, and it's not a big deal that they have only asides later because they like to watch the show, and they both know it's not about them in any way. I think Lucio is lower class, is less
Status.
He's a lower class dude or dudette.
I always thought he was
Yeah.
lower status, but not lower class. Like I always thought he came from some kind of, if not money, some family that had a name once. But he doesn't have a position, but like his uncle, maybe a landowner or something.
I think that's so much better than what I said. I'm not kidding. And I ran into,
because he's educated, right?
he's educated. So I ran into Ben. You know who Ben Schwartz is? He's John Ralphio on Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
He's a brilliant improv artist. And I ran into him on the street in London and I stared at him a little bit too long. And he's like, what? Like, I was like, you're my wife's favorite actor. I'm like eating fish and chips. And he was very sweet. And I tried to take a selfie and I didn't know how. It was pathetic. But I realized that's who Lucio is. On Parks and Rec, Lucio, he's educated. He just doesn't care. And free, right? And alive.
Yeah, free.
Right? And that's why I can walk in and not intimidated by walking into the palace. I grew up in the palace, whatever. I just don't care. That's really good, Paul. That is, yeah. Smarter. All right, let's do this again. This is fun. By the way, I want to make sure We're going to work through this, but Paul, you got a big old monologue at the end here that I want to make sure we give you some time to play with if you want to look at it tonight. I just want to make sure. Um, okay, from where, y'all? How about just condemn the fault?
Okay.
Sorry, what lines there? Where?
Sorry, 53.
53-ish. Yeah.
Got it.
Condemn the fault and not the actor of it. Why, every fault's condemned, ere it be done. Mine were the very cipher of a function, to find the faults whose fine stands in record and let go by the actor.
No just but severe law. I had a brother then. Heaven keep your honor.
Or so. To him again, entreat him, kneel down before him, hang upon his gown. You are too cold. If you should need a pin, you could not with more tame a tongue desire it. To him, I say.
Must he needs die?
Maiden, no remedy.
Yes, I do think that you might pardon him, and neither heaven nor man grieve at the mercy.
I will not do it.
But can you if you would?
Look what I will not, that I cannot do.
But might you do it and do the world no wrong? If so, your heart were touched in that remorse as mine is to him.
He's sentenced. 'Tis too late.
You are too cold.
Too late. Why, no, I that do speak a word may call it back again. Well, believe this, no ceremony that to great ones longs, not the king's crown, nor the disputed sword, the marshal's truncheon, nor the judge's robe, become then with one half so good a grace as mercy does. If he had been as you, and you as he, you would have slipped like him, but he like you would not have been so stern.
Pray you, be gone.
I would have heaven I had your potency, and you were Isabel. Should it then be thus? No, I would tell what 'twere to be a judge, and what a prisoner.
I touch him, there's the vein.
Your brother is a forfeit of the law, and you but waste your words.
Good hold. Now it's fun to play Isabella, y'all. Okay, just stopping so we don't go too far in case there's stuff you guys want to unpack. There's Lucio. Welcome to the play.
Yeah.
Right? Because like comedians like Ben Schwartz or the guys that are so free, they just pounce on every line in a slightly different way. In this free, like they'll get really serious and then they'll pull way back, right? And I thought you were already doing that. You're your own rhythm, your own world, but it was still driven. I loved it. Keep having that much fun. Paul, anything in here in this? If you have any questions with this exchange with her, I think it's sounding great.
I was not satisfied with the way I read a certain line, but I think I know what adjustments I'm going to make. And that is the look what I will not. Look what I will not that I cannot do. It's because I don't want it to sound like contemporary. Look, comma, what I will. I don't want it to sound like that. Look what I will not that I cannot do.
How does it scan? Look.
Well, I'm playing it as a trochee I am. Look what I will not that I cannot do. I'm playing the beginning as a trochee.
Can you if you would? Look what I will not. That I cannot do. Say it again, Paul.
Look what I will not that I cannot do.
Will you throw away that? I think that look is getting away the what for the alliteration of the would coming from the line before. So I will not do it. But can you do it if you would?
Look what I will not. That sounds better?
Yes. Look what I will not. That I I think I could be wrong. And let me know if you can make this work.
I can.
Look, what I will not, that I cannot do.
That certainly makes sense. The only thing I was nervous about is it sounding contemporary, like look, comma, what I will not,
Mm-mm.
that I cannot do. And
No,
maybe that is
because of
what
the
it is.
line before. So, say again.
Maybe that is what it is. Maybe it is look, listen, what I will not. Maybe that is what it is.
Mm-hmm. I think it is.
Okay.
Let's hear it for the poetry once.
Okay.
Um, but can you, if you would?
Look, what I will not, that I cannot do.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it. It feels, and it's almost monosyllabic, right? It's these
Yeah.
very simple, right? And it's thrilling for me.
Yeah.
But might you do it? And that's why, see, look, but might you do it and do the world no wrong? Look at the beautiful rhymes between these three lines in a way. Do's and woulds, do not. It's gorgeous. So if we're that rigid or that precise, I think we'll get the poetry of it.
Okay. And I'm
Great question.
playing that he is getting increasingly more annoyed and therefore more aggressive. And I want to see if that makes sense when she starts to crack his shell. Because I'm wondering if maybe he's not getting that angry. Like, I got really, I lifted the intensity really on, and you but waste your words. And I wonder if there's a payoff in doing it that way so that we can see her break him back down. Or does he not
Where's
get
in
that?
you but waste your words?
So like,
Where's that line?
Pray You Be Gone, it's on the near the top, it's at the top of the next page. So Pray You Be Gone is one level of frustration. Sorry, wait. He is sentenced, 'tis too late is one level of frustration. And then Pray You Be
Good.
Gone is a little bit more. And then
Yep.
Your brother is a forfeit, you waste your words is another level. And that's what I was going for, but I don't know if it makes sense.
It makes absolute sense. And I think where the real storytelling moment is, I mean, Lucio tells us he's sentenced, 'tis too late. Okay, we think the scene's over. And I love your Lucio is you are too cold. Genius to pull back on it. I told you once, try it again. And then Isabella gets you. She gets her feet under her on the too late. Why I think that do speak a word, blah, 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 blah. Mercy does. And remember, we decided, I tried to act this, but I did poorly on line 84. She has empty beats before she brings in the new topic. If he had been as you and you as he, you would have slipped like him, but he like you would not have been so stern. I think we're allowed to know that she gets to you there. He asks for a pause, literally a storytelling elevation. So, Paul, you're absolutely right that she raises the temperature in the room a little bit and you match that temperature. Get the hell out of here. Pray you be gone. So she matches it. I would to heaven. And then you have to go with two full lines. I told you, you're wasting your words. Get the hell out. So it tracks perfectly.
Huh. I just heard something new, which would definitely motivate Pray You Be Gone. I always thought what she was saying was, if he had been like you and you like him, and if you had slipped like him, he would not have been as stern as you. But what she's saying is, if you had been tempted the way he was, you would have slipped too, which is a different thing. That's fair. That's kind of offensive. So get the hell out of my face, if that's what you're saying.
I couldn't agree more.
Okay.
Yeah. She goes, becomes an ad hominem attack, doesn't it? She's like, oh yeah, well, if you were him, you would have freaking nailed the girl too, dude. Get the what?
Yep.
Pray you be gone. And then hold on, I just want to unpack how Isabella responds to this. Would to heaven I had your potency and you were Isabel. Should it then be thus? No, I would tell what 'twere to be a judge and what a prisoner. And that must have worked Like if we were directing this, I would give bad direction to Angelo to telegraph that hit a little bit to motivate Lucio's line, I touch him, there's the vein. So we go from, if you had been him, you would have been tempted. You would have slept with her too. And he wouldn't have been mean. And you say, well, okay, get out of here. And instead of her shutting up, she raises the stakes even more by saying, you know what? I wish I had your freaking power. Then I'll show you what it really is to be a judge, because you suck at it. She's calling into question your ability to even be a judge. Okay, I touch him, there's a rub. Let's keep going. Your brother is a forfeit of the law. And you can stop and start whenever, Paul. Sorry.
Okay. Your brother is a forfeit of the law, and you do but, your brother is a forfeit of the law, and you but waste your words.
Alas, alas, all the souls that were forfeit once, and he that might have had the vantage best have took, found out the remedy. How would you be if he, which is the top of judgment, should but judge you as you are? Oh, think on that, and mercy then will breathe within your lips like man new made.
Be you content, fair maid. It is the law, not I, condemn your brother. Were he my kinsman, brother, or my son, it should be thus with him. He must die tomorrow.
Good, hold. So let's unpack that escalation just a little bit. The new information is tomorrow, so we work backwards, right? You finally get 4 lines as opposed to 2 or 1.5. I think Isabella downshifts here a little bit. I think you win a beat here, Angelo. Your brother is a forfeit of the law, and you but waste your words. Alas, alas. She tries a new tactic, is what I'm going to give her. It still is forward, but I'm going to give her a color, another color there. Be you content, fair maid. It is the law that I condemn your brother. He must die tomorrow. Great. And now we go to this next level. Tomorrow. Oh, that's sudden. Spare him, spare him. He's not prepared for death. Even for our kitchens, we kill the fowl of season. Shall we serve heaven with less respect than we do minister to our grosser selves? Good, my lord, bethink you. Who is it that hath been died for this offense? There's many have committed it.
That's well said.
Okay. You are on fire. Sorry, I jumped you there. Is Lucio talking about himself as well, or herself?
Oh, absolutely.
Love it. I love it. I get it.
I almost imagine. Sorry.
No.
I almost imagine too that if Lucio and Provost were 2 separate people, they'd have kind of like a look at each other, like we throw a stone. Who hasn't?
I think that Provost would look at Lucio like you, and Lucio's like I. And do you guys notice that there's a new argument here? There's a new topic in the argument, which is when tomorrow comes in. Now the top first it was law, and you get rid of that argument. And Shakespeare is trying to use up the arguments. You say, look, the law says this. If he were my own brother, if he were my kinsman, he'd have to die. The law is a law, and now it's tomorrow. Whoa, tomorrow's too soon. His soul is the new information. His soul is not prepared. Okay, just know that's in the room. And then she's like, everybody does it. There are many have committed it. I well said. Now, Angelo, explain yourself.
She's making 2 arguments, though. She's saying, whoa, 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 tomorrow's too soon. He's not prepared. And she also goes on to say lots of people have premarital sex after they've been engaged, betrothed, but nobody's been killed for it. So she's making 2 arguments.
Agreed. Right? Yeah. And she says, so it's almost like she's discombobulated and then she finds her feet again. And too soon. Oh, crap. Okay, wait.
The 2 arguments are in the same line. They share a line. With less respect than we do minister to our gross selves. Good, my lord, bethink you who is it that hath died for this offense?
So her brain's working really fast. And she's right. And so now you get And Lucio gets an aside, and just from a Shakespeare directing our look for a second, she says, there's many have committed it. Lucio, I well said. So that our focus comes back to you, Angelo, and that's why Angelo now gets 10 lines. He has been framed. Everyone is looking. So Angelo, now defend your position.
The law hath not been dead, though it hath slept. Those many had not dared to do that evil if the first that did the edict infringe had answered for his deed. Now 'tis awake, takes note of what is done, and like a prophet, looks in a glass that shows what future evils, either now or by remissness new conceived, and so in progress to be hatched and born, are now to have no successive degrees, but ere they live to end.
It shows some pity.
I show it most of all when I show justice, for then I pity those I do not know, which a dismissed offense would after gall, and do him right that, answering one foul wrong, lives not to act another. Be satisfied. Your brother dies tomorrow. Be content.
Good.
Fuck off.
My only thing in, yeah, fuck off. My only thing in there is make sure you hit awake. Now 'tis awake.
Awake.
Yeah, now is kind of important. Awake is the most important. It's just a beautiful image. Because then it starts doing things. It's awake, it takes note and looks and blah, 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 blah. Good. Be satisfied your brother dies tomorrow. Be content. So you must be the first that gives this sentence, and he that suffers. Oh, it is excellent to have a giant's strength, but it is tyrannous to use it like a giant.
Can I ask you, do you want...
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. Do you want any drop of sarcasm in Angelo at all? He doesn't do sarcasm, does he?
You know, here's what I was thinking. I was trying to figure out how to name what I think is going on, because I do feel like there's a weird intimacy. Like they use. So you must be the first that gives a sentence, and he that's it feels like they were arguing earlier. It's like it's like you're arguing with somebody, and first you lay out the arguments, and now you're doubling down on the arguments, and so it's getting more personal, it's getting more intimate. And so, yeah, there's a sarcasm. I'm not saying he loses his officialness, but he is like, come on. He's got to die. Think about it. They're talking like equals. Miranda, does that make sense? What's another way to phrase this?
I think it does make sense. I also think there's as we talked about last time, there's also an element of joy and mutual arguments, matching wits. So there's that. There's an element of joy, I think, for both of them. Certainly for Angelo. For both of them.
I completely agree. Does that help with sarcasm, Paul?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe if the sarcasm is in service of the matching wits, if that makes sense.
Yeah, or maybe sarcasm is not the right word. I wonder if there's any modicum of playfulness in these two long speeches about the law.
I think there's an excitement.
I don't think there is, but I'm just wondering.
If there is an excitement in having a long run at an argument and noting, wow, look at this argument I just put together in my head, and that you're talking to somebody really smart, and you're like, fine, ready, let's go there. Right? Look, the law hath been asleep, and and there's an excitement when you finally get a full freaking. Do you remember there was a famous director named Robert Woodruff? Do you remember Robert Woodruff? Miranda? He was the last great biker director of the American theater, and literally he dressed like a biker. He ran like 3 regional theaters and was fired after 6 months everywhere. He had this great line when we were talking about Shakespeare, about the Greeks. He said, you got to figure out why one person talks for 40 lines. The other person says 2 lines. And then the first person says another 30 lines. And we were all like, and he goes, that's how an argument really goes. If you're arguing with your lover, you go for 30 lines and then you say, well, what about the cat? And then they go, the cat, boom, right? And he kind of, we were all being pretentious with the Greeks, and he's like, no, they're human, y'all. You got to figure out why Jason enters. It was great. So I think here you got to figure out, okay, why does he get 10 lines? Because he's got 10 lines saved up. He's figured out, okay, here comes 10 lines. And it's joy and it's argument, right? And it's important.
Mm-hmm.
I used to think I would have great debates like I used to have in graduate school about art or the importance of things. And now we're not allowed to have great arguments anymore, are we? We kind of have to talk past each other. We have to be careful. Certainly in academia, you're going to find out. Great impassioned fights. And that's what I think this is. That's why this gets sexy.
I love
Let's go from
I love that after my first argument, she goes from all of her heady, impassioned, well thought out arguments to okay, but what about pity? She has 5 words, yet shows 4 words, yet show some pity.
And you go, okay. Yeah, that's exactly. And the only people who can argue like that are people in tune with each other.
Yeah.
Right. I have a colleague, Dr. Scott Kreider, who wrote this amazing article about this. I don't know if I told you that all these shared lines kind of reveal this intimacy between them, this connection that's clear right there. That's a shared line. By day they live to no end, yet show some pity. I show most of it when I do show justice. Blah, blah, blah. All right. Where should we go from? How about from there? Yet show some pity. Yet show some pity.
I show it most of all when I show justice. For then I pity those I do not know, which a dismissed offense would after gall. And do him right, that answering one foul wrong lives not to act another. Be satisfied. Your brother dies tomorrow. Be content.
So you must be the first that gives this sentence, and he suffers it. Oh, it's excellent to have a giant's strength, but it's tyrannous to use it like a giant.
That's well said.
The great men thunder, as Jove himself does. Jove would never be quiet. For every pelting petty officer would use his heaven for thunder, nothing but thunder. Merciful heaven, thou rather with thy sharp and sulphurous bolt splits the unwedgeable and gnarled oak than the soft myrtle. But man, proud man, dressed in a little brief authority, most ignorant of what he's most assured, his glassy essence, like an angry ape, plays such fantastic tricks before the high heaven as makes the angels weep, who with our spleens would all themselves laugh mortal.
Oh, to him, wench. He will relent. He's coming, I perceive. Pray heaven she win him.
We cannot weigh our brother with ourself. Great men may jest with saints, 'tis wit in them, but in the less foul profanation.
Thou art in the right, girl, more of that.
That in the captain is but a choleric word, which in the soldier is flat blasphemy.
Hard to devise at that. More on.
Why do you put these sayings upon me?
Good. So, oh my God, Angelo, I'm sorry. Yeah, Angelo doesn't talk for a page.
I noticed.
I just really felt it because I didn't want to shut up at all. When you get in her skin, you're just like, goo, goo, goo. So why
Which makes
does it well?
Lucio feel very, you've got him on the ropes. Keep going, keep going.
Yeah. And every aside you give me gives me a little bit of oomph, right?
Right.
But those are rooms for Angelo to step in, and he does not. And look what she talks about, right? She dies tomorrow. The new idea is it is excellent to have a giant strength, but tyranny is a big old important word. in Shakespeare, right? Tyranny is like, that's the worst. It is tyrannous to use it like a giant. And so now we have this beat about petty, paltry people dressed in authority, using authority's sword, are pathetic, and uh, and the angels laugh at them. And she must be right about this. This is my maybe conjecture. There's got to be a hint in here that Angelo hears as, oh crap, she's right. I'm a charlatan. Because if he was fully secure in his act of being in charge, he says it earlier, right? The law is done, but she gets to him in his weakest spot, which is a fear that he is an imposter and that he's going to be laughed at, that he's proud. All of that has just got to be true. Look at this. What in the captain's but a choleric word wishes a soldier is flat blasphemy. That logic, the idea that there are different rules for different levels of people, and you don't even rate. You are not fit to untie her sandals, right? And then Lucio, art advised of that morant. That's a question. What does that mean? Art advised of that. What is Lucio pointing at?
To me, the fact that there's the break then, and then Angelo finds the opportunity to respond comes from, I think there's almost a point being made here that Lucio is like, ooh, is that your strongest argument? It feels a little like she took it a little too far and is maybe a little wrong there. Like, it's not quite the same flavor of like, yes, that's it, keep going. It's, are you sure? Keep pulling at that thread. Is that
I read
kind of
it
the flavor?
read it slightly differently. Miranda, I read it, art thou advised of that as a kind of like, wow, keep going. Wow, you know about soldiers? Keep going, because his earlier line has the that again, right? Thou art in the right, girl. Do more of that. And so do more of the idea that great men can jest with saints, there's wit in them, but less is foul profanation. Lucio's response is, yes, do more of that. And then she repeats the argument, really, right? But her adjective, what she describes is military men.
Oh, so like, who told you that? Like, you're right, but who's telling you these things? Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is that track, Miranda?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think I think also he's just if you're sure you're on strong ground here, if you're absolutely sure of that, keep going. Keep going. If you know this to be true, because he doesn't stop by saying, "Are you sure?" He says, "More on it." So,
yeah, mad props, respect, girl. Yeah,
cool.
Go.
I like that. Yeah.
Is there any guidance here for all the apostrophes? Like, thou art it the right, like it's almost like like almost a Scottish brogue there, like thou art the right girl, more of that. Like, how
That's
is
a
there
mouthful,
any technical guide for how that's said?
I thought you said it correctly, but
so
yeah,
too.
it's a mouthful.
Okay.
You're allowed to push and pull with that line,
Okay.
right? I think the mistake sometimes with Lucio's is they try to not take up any room, as opposed to here, I want you to, whoa, yeah, girl, uh-huh. I had a teenagers recently in a very frightening moment try to explain to me recent slang. Two teenage 15-year-old girls who are my friend's daughter and her best friend. And they tried to teach me a word called per, P-E-R, which is a slang term used by people who love Taylor Swift or Tay. And they spoke in this weird truncated words, per boy. Per means perfect, but you can't not say the word. You can't say that's perfect or that's per. So if you say, look at this hat, you don't say that's perfect. If you say, look at this hat, you just go per. So my whole long way of saying, yes, you're allowed to truncate and push and pull because you are your otherness. Just embrace your otherness. And I dare you use per with your students, Paul.
I loved
I'll be
when I
right
found
back.
out. I loved when I found out what fit meant.
What meant?
Fit, F-I-T. It means your outfit.
Yeah, your fit of the
Oh,
day.
Yeah, that's a nice
you
fit.
fit. My wife had
Yeah.
one today. She was teaching theater, and she's intro to design. And one of the questions is, who is this play for? Who are you designing for? You know, and this is what she said. She said, is it intellectuals? Is it your friends? Is it the blue hairs? Is it the evening wine crowd? And they were like, excuse me, blue hairs? What is that? And she was like, the blue hairs, like you get your hair dyed. And they said, we hear that as you blue-haired liberal.
Wow.
The way all the young, like a lot of people will like dye their hair blue right now. And it's like, and that, so I was, my brain, yeah, careful. Don't say blue hairs, y'all.
Yeah.
Okay. Art advice,
Well,
more on that. I love how our time flies. We got 35 minutes. Anything else before we try to attack the last 2 pages? Why do you put those sayings upon me? Take it from there.
Why do you put those sayings upon me?
Because authority, though it err like others, hath yet a kind of medicine in itself that skins the vice over the top. Go to your bosom, knock there, and ask your heart what it doth know that's like my brother's fault. If it confess a natural guiltiness, such as is his, let it not sound a thought upon your tongue against my brother's life.
She speaks, and 'tis such sense that my sense breeds with it. Fare you well.
Gentle my lord, turn back.
I will bethink me. Come again tomorrow.
Hark how I'll bribe you, good my lord, turn back.
How? Bribe me?
I with such gifts that heaven shall share with you.
you had marred all else.
Not with the fond sickles of the tested gold, or stones whose rate are either rich or poor as fancy values them, but with true prayers that shall be up at heaven and enter there at sunrise. Prayers from preserved souls, from fasting maids whose minds are dedicate to nothing but temporal.
Well, come to me tomorrow.
Oh, too, 'tis well, away.
Heaven keep your honor safe.
Amen. For I am that way going to temptation where prayers cross.
At what hour tomorrow shall I attend your lordship?
At any time for noon.
Save your honor.
From thee, even from thy virtue.
Okay, good. Before we attack, anything in here? Any sense that we're missing?
On the line with the space, so Isabel saying, I with such gifts that heaven shall share with you. The spacing in the script, there's a side to Isabella, but the line is offset. Is that meant to indicate any kind of pause, like she's hesitating and staying in the room, and I have to be like, fucking move. He said he'll talk to you tomorrow. Or is it, oh, no, sorry, I'm thinking about the next part. The go to, 'tis well, away. So will come to me tomorrow. Again, there's space. Go to, 'tis well, away. Is there any space indication there of waiting for Lucio to speak?
My gut is you fit it in that it's not about you. Just from the rhythm of
Okay.
I was this gift that heaven shall share with you. You have marred all else, not with fond sickles. Like I don't think you want to lose the momentum there. And then to nothing temporal will come to me tomorrow. Again, that shared line, always with them, really. Go to, 'tis
Yeah.
well away. That's just get out of here.
Okay. Yeah. Something that has struck me in this reading today is that Lucio is not announced. Lucio is not greeted. Lucio is not dismissed. Lucio is not addressed in any way. Like Angelo is aware of Lucio's relationship to Claudio and doesn't even try to talk to Lucio and or even try and get him out of the room. So there's something fun there about just Lucio being a witness to this very hot intellectual interchange and never taking up space in interrupting the flow of that, but providing the commentary, which I hadn't really noticed entirely before. So I agree that there's no like pause. Lucio has his say. It's all in the rhythm of it.
And I think that is supported by what Paul said about Lucio. Lucio's a highborn. Lucio doesn't, it's not weird that Lucio's in the room. There's not a homeless person in the room. There's not, it's Lucio is allowed to be in the halls where other like high status people are. He's of the court
Which
in a sense.
interesting, yeah. The thing that I maybe struggle with that is that again we're in this new era of Vienna where Angelo's in charge.
Mhm.
And if there's any threat to Lucio really getting to do whatever they want, especially with the line of before talking about like who hasn't committed the crimes that Claudio has, and Lucio existing in that space is like, yeah, you could have knocked on my door. I could be in trouble right now. It's just something that I'll chew on for next time.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he's seen. You know, I've seen productions where he's seen and productions where he isn't. Yeah, and that's why I really liked Stefan what you were saying a while back about Lucio is what was it is almost the provost inner monologue, and if Lucio is, I mean, of course we see him, but if and hear him, but if and Isabella does, but if he's not seen by Angelo, I love that. I think that works with the, you know, he is the provost inner monologue. You know, it can go either way, I think.
I saw a production
Not-
once where most of Lucio's asides were to the audience.
I've seen that too. Yeah, yeah, and of course, you know, asides are not in the folio, so those are more interpretative, I think, of later editors. Most of them, anyway.
I would talk right to the audience. I love it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the quickest connection. Lucio's job is to connect to the audience, right? Lucio is
Right.
the chorus in a
Yeah,
sense, right?
yeah,
So
exactly.
Lucio would be the person that the audience is constantly connecting with, and they would be looking at Lucio to see how to respond to what's going on.
Yeah.
It'd be the greatest role in the world to play would be Lucio, because you would just steal the show and all the other actors would freaking hate you, right? Because you would be allowed to do whatever you wanted. One little thing is these shared lines on her exit to nothing temporal will come to me in tomorrow. Get rid of Lucio out of there. Heaven keep your honor safe. Amen. Blah 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 blah. Where prayers cross. At what hour tomorrow shall I attend your lordship? Any time before noon. Save your honor, right? I just want to make sure that at any time for noon, Paul, is you were so surprised by her at what hour that it just blurted out. I don't know, any time before noon. Just like, get the frick out. Because you were starting to go into your monologue and she keeps interrupting. She does it twice.
So I've been looking at these lines over the last 5 minutes or whatever it is. This is some of the most unusual meter I've ever seen in Shakespeare. to nothing temporal, well, come to me tomorrow, go to, 'tis well away. They're all 3 feet lines. And then heaven keep your honor safe. There's a beat missing in the front. It's like heaven, the first syllable is stressed. So it's like there's a missing syllable at the front of the line. Heaven keep your honor safe. Amen. And same thing later on with shall I attend your lordship at any time before noon? That's like 12 or 13 syllables. It's very weird. This whole exchange is really weird.
Yes. By the way, genius with heaven. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
The and it's super great.
It's
yeah, I think
like
you
there's
guys
a
should.
missing and heaven keep your honor safe. Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Which Isabella is basically like, well, come to me tomorrow. And Lucio was like, let's go, get out. And she's like, hey, heaven keep your safe. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Amen. For that, I pray for that. Wow. Yeah. And he thinks the door is shut. I would have the door. I think Theater for New Audiences did a production where it was just doors, a bunch of rolling doors. They figured out that there's lots of door games. Sounds like a great production. But she would be leaving again,
That's
right?
great.
Amen. For that way, he thinks he's alone. Amen. For I am that way going to temptation where prayers cross. That is weird. And then she comes back in. At what hour? Anytime for noon.
This is so weird. This scansion is so weird.
It's so weird. Hey, why don't we do it once and embrace the weirdness?
Okay. I was just
Why don't we just take it from "Will come to me tomorrow"?
Okay.
How about yeah.
Do you want to try
Well,
all these weird lines as not shared lines, but take beats before, after?
I want to try both
Okay.
and see, and I think they'll both probably pay dividends, but I think that would be a cool way to explore it. Let's do one where we don't take beats first.
Okay.
And then let's take beats. So if we're just going to drive it, if I'm from fasting maids whose minds are dedicated to nothing temporal.
Well, come to me tomorrow.
Go to 'tis well away. Heaven keep your honor safe.
Amen. For I am that way going to temptation where prayers cross.
At what hour tomorrow shall I attend your lordship?
At any time for noon.
Save your honor.
From thee, even from thy virtue.
All right, now let's let it breathe. From fasting maids whose minds are dedicated to nothing temporal.
Well, come to me tomorrow.
Go to, 'tis well away.
Heaven keep your honor safe.
Amen. For I am that way going to temptation where prayers cross.
At what hour tomorrow shall I attend your lordship?
At any time for noon.
Save your honor.
From thee, even from thy virtue.
Here's what I do know for sure, is there is a big ass beat before "Well, come to me tomorrow."
You like that one?
Yeah, I do. Because there's the event, right? That she shuts up. And we don't want to rush that. And Lucio says, there, you got it. Don't ask for more. I thought that was lovely. I could take or leave the others, like I can keep exploring, but I demand to nothing temporal. Beat, beat, beat. Well, let's talk about it tomorrow.
I also like the one at any time for noon. Maybe not as big a beat, but
I will buy that. I'll buy that. I think you're allowed to take the beat. She won't take it on Save Your Honor. Or else it gets too intimate. She's too clueless.
If you give me leniency to take beats, this will be a 2-hour scene.
I will only give you, so far I've only given you 2. But I'm not opposed to you having more. Here's what we're gonna do, because oh my God, we have 20 minutes. I want to give the run up. I want to do that one more time, taking those two beats, keeping everything else tight, and then let you dive into the monologue. So one more time. Ere sunrise prayers from preserved souls, from fasting maids whose minds are dedicate to nothing temporal.
Well, come to me tomorrow.
Oh, 'tis well, away.
Heaven, keep your honor safe.
Amen. For I am that way going to temptation where prayers cross.
At what hour tomorrow shall I attend your lordship?
At any time for noon.
Save your honor.
From thee, even from thy virtue. Oh, what's this? What's this? Is this her fault or mine? The tempter or the tempted? Who sins most, huh? Not she, nor does she tempt, but it is I, that lying by the violet in the sun, do as the carrion does, not as the flower, corrupt with virtuous season. Can it be that modesty may more betray our sense than woman's lightness? Having waste ground enough, shall we desire to raise the sanctuary and pitch our evils there? Oh, fine, fine, fine. What dost thou, or what art thou, Angelo? Dost thou desire her foully for those things that make her good? Oh, let her brother live. Thieves for their robbery have authority when judges steal themselves. What, do I love her, that I desire to hear her speak again and feast upon her eyes? What is thy dream on? Oh, cunning enemy, that to catch a saint with saints dost bait thy hook. Most dangerous is that temptation that doth goad us on to sin and loving virtue. Never could the strumpet, with all her double vigor, art, and nature, once stir my temper, but this virtuous maid subdues me quite. Ever till now, when men were fond, I smiled and wondered how.
Good. Good. I love the discoveries as you go. I love what the hell is this? I was trying to figure out what that's like. What is it like in our life when we go, wait, what? Do I like that person? Is the only kind of cliche version I can think of. What is it like to have this moment of, what is going on inside me? You know, he loves this, right? Much Ado, he does this, right? But here it's sort of touching and creepy.
To me, it's almost seen most in the moments where we find ourselves about to do something that we would never do. Like we can recognize kind of the different places we feel heat in ourselves when we're interested or confused by somebody. But it's something I was struck by this time, Paul, in the way you read it, was the moment of, oh, sure, let her brother live. I'm just going to completely go against what I've been saying all day to everybody. Like, sure, the world will be completely run over by thieves and judges and circus animals. Like, sure, we're going to completely throw everything out the window. It was just such a nice approach I saw in this go through.
Me too.
I have a little scansion thing I'm going to ask for, and it's because it's really hard.
Yeah.
Look at line 210.
What dost
Don't
thou,
hit the.
or what art thou, Angelo?
Maybe it's not 210. Yeah, it's 210. Yeah, what dost thou?
Yeah,
Yeah, don't hit that first what,
I got you.
because then you can hit the second thou.
What dost thou? Or what art? Wait. What
Yeah, dust and
thou,
art.
or what art thou?
Angelo gets all Angelo. You get your whole word. He doesn't truncate Angelo here. Every syllable gets its due. What dost thou, or what art thou, Angelo? And then do the next line.
And dost thou desire? I'm trying to avoid the pronoun on this one, so I'd like to go, dost thou desire her foully for those things?
No, here I want that pronoun in a
Dost
rare.
thou
Des-
desire her
Mhm.
foully for those things that make her good?
Yes, because the poetry, the dost thou, because the line before you asked what you are and you didn't hit the thou. So he kind of primes the pump. He primes the rhyme. What dost thou, or what art thou, Angelo? Dost thou? Now you're allowed to hit the thou. He's avoided it twice. Dost thou desire her foully for those things? And then you got those THs in there. THs in the Fs. Look at that. Dost thou desire her foully for those things? I don't know. All I know is he wants that line full of the THs and the Fs. Hence why I think you're allowed to hit the thou. And normally I hate pronouns, so I completely agree with you. Don't hit the pronoun, but I want it there.
Yeah, okay.
And then a little thing on line 221, with all her double vigor, art, and nature. Don't hit that and. Just cross it out. And I think that actually gives you permission to hit both art and nature even harder and live in them.
Okay, I'm marking it on my script.
Mm-hmm. Miranda, do you have anything before we get to make Paul do it again? Because it's so nice.
Nope, I'm good. Sounds great.
Stefan, what about the next line? I've been going once stir my temper. Another trochee. Do you prefer once stir my temper?
Let me back up a wee bit and see. Never could the trumpet, with all her double vigor, art, and nature, once stir my temper. No, I want stir. Because stir is that dirty double entendre. Like that, if you can bring the sex in, you go for the sex. And never could the strumpet, who is both pretty and really good at makeup, double vigor. Vigor is dirty. Vigor is love making, right? Stir my temper, which is both my temperament and my everything, right? And that way, because that's why that sets up the opposite on the other side of the butt. But this virtuous maid subdues me quite. Never could all the porn and sex and everything stir. And yeah, we need that stir. It's the big verb of the entire sentence. Will you read that line for me from Never? Sorry, are you counting? Apologize.
Yeah, I was figuring out where to put the space in the line after that one. Subdues me quite, beat, ever till now.
Yeah, I agree.
Here we go. To sin in loving virtue, never could the strumpet, with all her double vigor, art, and nature, once stir my temper, but this virtuous maid subdues me quite.
Yeah, that's it. Ever till now. Sorry, I always thought you were acting. I was like, he's waiting on me. That was beautiful.
No.
I really heard the stir. And he's dealing with what the hell's going on. And the next line is just a summation of how, ever till now, when men were fond or stirred, ever till now, when men were stirred, I smiled and wonder how they were stirred. How? Okay. I'm going to do this one more time. And what I want you to do, Paul, is just take your time as you go through it and just live in it. Just live in the images and the realizations of, oh my God, I love peanut butter, or oh my God, I love this girl, or oh my God, I love boys, or oh my God, I love girls. Like this kind of discovery. I'm just trying to figure the last time I had a discovery of, holy shit, I love that. Because that's what's going on here. Yeah. Off you pop.
Okay, I'll be using ice
Save
cream.
your honor.
I'll be using ice
All
cream
right.
as my motivation.
Ice cream's good. Save your honor.
From thee, even from thy virtue. What's this? What's this? Is this her fault or mine? The tempter or the tempted? Who sins most, huh? Not she, nor does she tempt, but it is I that, lying by the violet in the sun, do as the carrion does, not as the flower, corrupt with virtuous season. Can it be that modesty may more betray our sense than woman's lightness? Having waste ground enough, shall we desire to raise the sanctuary and pitch our evils there? Oh, fine, fine, fine. What dost thou? Or what art thou, Angelo? Dost thou desire her foully for those things that make her good? Oh, let her brother live. Thieves for their robbery have authority when judges steal themselves. What, do I love her that I desire to hear her speak again and feast upon her eyes? What didst I dream on? Oh, cunning enemy, that to catch a saint with saints dost bait thy hook. Most dangerous is that temptation that doth goad us on to sin in loving virtue. Never could the strumpet, with all her double vigor, art, and nature, once stir my temper, but this virtuous maid subdues me quite. Ever till now, when men were fond, I smiled and wondered how.
So beautiful. I love the poetry. When you guys do the poetry,
Great.
I mean, when you guys make it sing, which requires all aspects of your big brains and your big hearts and your big emotions. I
That's
thought it was
great.
just gorgeous. I have two questions in there. Can you and by the way, Paul, I got every logic. I got all the logic. I got all the pain. I got all the discoveries. I got all the what the hell's going on-ness. I got the moments when you would sort of sit in it and then go, whoa, what is no? It was gorgeous. The time you took is exactly great. Um, not she nor not do I attempt, but it is I that lying by the violet in the sun do as the carrion does, not as the flower, corrupt with virtuous season. Do we throw away not as the flower? What's the sense there?
That lying by the violet of the sun, do as the carrion does, not as the flower, corrupt with virtuous. I don't want it to. I'm nervous that it will sound like the flower is doing the corrupting. Do as the carrion does, not as the flower, corrupt with virtuous season.
I think that I now understand the logic. Miranda, does that track?
Yes, it does. I'm just reading what Samuel Johnson paraphrased, which isn't very helpful. Yes, that tracks.
But it is I that lying. You know what? I observe these commas too much sometimes. But it is I that lying by the violet of the sun, lying by the violet in the sun, do as the carrion does, not as the flower, corrupt with virtuous season.
Good.
I like that.
Good.
Yeah. I
Not
like
as the
that.
flower. That was the comparison I needed. That's going to make
Yeah.
me understand it even better.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
Yeah.
wait, did you have something, Miranda?
Oh no, I just said I like that.
Okay. I had one other note, but it's no, I don't have another note. Oh yeah, here it is. Most dangerous. Will you just take it from most dangerous and unpack it?
Most dangerous.
Most.
Most dangerous is that temptation that doth goad us on to sin in loving virtue.
What does that mean?
It means, I know exactly what it means. I'm going to tell you. It means most dangerous is that temptation that doth goad us on to sin in loving virtue. It means it's worse when we are tempted to think that we're doing something good. It's actually cloaking a sin, something like that.
Mm-hmm. It's dangerous because it is cloaked. It's dangerous because we don't realize that we're sinning because we think we're loving virtue, but we're not.
Okay, how's this, Stefan? Most dangerous is that temptation that doth goad us on to sin in loving virtue. No.
Oh, there it is. Yes. To sin in loving virtue, which is in loving her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I need to
because
continue.
in loving her, it's sin.
And I think what helps is if I continue the thread from goad us on to sin.
Mm-hmm.
That temptation that doth goad us on to sin.
Which is in the exact same thought as to catch a saint, you bait the hook with a saint.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There it is. There. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry for my coughing. I'm fighting a bronchitis.
Oh, I was going to say, are you okay? Yikes.
By the way, that's another comma that I think I'm observing too much. Oh, cunning enemy that to catch a saint. I should just go into it. I'm going, oh, cunning enemy that to catch a saint with saints dost bait thy hook. Am I overplaying that comma after the that?
You are. Try it once as one thought.
Oh, cunning enemy that to catch a saint with saints dost bait thy hook.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the commas are there to point out that there are two saints with saints, and you do it naturally. You don't need them.
Mm-hmm.
You make sense of lines that lesser mortals would need commas to remind them of the structure. I'm not kidding. You hear it. Again, where did the time go? How do we only have one more rehearsal? And the next one's public?
I think so.
And what are we going to do? I'll tell you what I want to do. Well,
I love
just
scene 3. Wait,
what scene 3?
Which is the one where she comes back? Is that scene 4?
Oh, maybe, I guess. Yeah, that would be super cool. Maybe he'll ask us to do it again and we'll get to just keep going.
To be received plain, I'll speak more gross. I love that line.
I think for Thursday, next Thursday, I think I'd just like to keep going. I would probably want to do, because we'll have everybody. I'll have my whole team together. And I think what I'd love to be able to do is the first hour, do one more pass through in case, just to see if everybody's right going right. And then be able to do a nice solid run of the whole thing once at the end. I don't want to start with a full run because then that just robs us of process. Cool. Well, thank you guys. This is again so much fun. I will admit, after a long day, I'm like, okay, I guess I gotta go rehearse. And then I love it. I love the 2 hours I spend with you guys. So thank you.
Likewise. Thanks, everyone.
This was loads of fun. Thank you, guys.
We'll see you guys on Thursday.
Thursday, yes. Are we doing 7 to 9 or are we doing 8 to 10?
I think it's this time.
7 to 9?
Is it the same time or did we change the time?
No, we're usually 8 to 10, but we changed it this week. I know.
Oh, this is different than last time. I just followed the email. I guess we'll have to continue on to thread and ask
Nathan.
He who must be obeyed. He's going to email us. He's going to watch this, and we'll get an email from our overlord. I said it. I'll see you guys next week.
You all get to choose because I'm on the West Coast. So bye.
Oh, okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye.